Hey everyone, I'm a software engineer. I've been working professionally in the industry for the last 8 years doing full stack development. And for the last month, a little over a month, I've been documenting my game development learning journey using the Godot open source game engine. I've been playing games my whole life, really fallen in love with them. And over the last several years, I've spent, you know, a couple weeks here and there just kind of learning a little bit more about game development, but haven't really ever dived deep into what it takes to be a game developer, what it takes to make a game. And so over the last month, I've been streaming, building out a game playground, kind of an opportunity to test some features, learn different things about game mechanics, build out some systems, do so in kind of a safe, friendly way, and eventually apply those learnings and things to a game that I decide to build, which I haven't exactly picked what I want to do yet, but I've had some ideas over the years. So as I do in every stream, I show off a demo of all the things that I've built over the last month. So we start out in a main menu where you can continue a game, start a new game, load a game, different save files, you can load them, you can also delete them. If we go and start a new game, you can see that we're placed in a top-down view, and you control with mouse and keyboard. Let me turn off the debug collision shapes because we're starting to get to the point where we don't totally need this. Great, so your top-down view, you have a flashlight. You move around with WASD. You look around with your mouse, and you have a flashlight that when you turn on, you can see zombies. When you turn it off, you can't see the zombies. So the idea is that it's at nighttime, and the only time you can see zombies is when your flashlight's on. I've built out an inventory system with drag and drop, so you can shoot the zombies. You can open up a dual inventory menu where you're able to drag and drop between the inventories. Last stream, I was working on adding chests, so you can do so. You can open up kind of the chest inventory in the same way that you open up the zombie inventory. Added some, basic vegetation. Added weapon knockback, the idea between, or delineation between melee and ranged weapons. A save system, obviously. Built out a chunking system that loads and unloads different chunks as the player moves around the play space. And yeah, that's kind of done a lot of other smaller things, but that's kind of the base gist of what I've worked on. And I think at this stream, gonna add some variation to the vegetation in terms of sizing. I need to update the chests so that it has randomized populated inventories with different items in it. I need to reduce the spawn rate on chests, and then from there, probably add some more items, maybe some more weapons, some stuff to do. Probably add like a health bar to the player, something along those lines, so that it's a little more obvious, what happens when the player gets hit. Right now, if a player gets hit, the game just kind of crashes, so I think, fix that as well. So from there, let's get started on building out some of these things as we normally do. Just taking a note to fix game over state. Great, so we'll start out with the randomized vegetation sizes. So right now, if we boot the game back up and continue. That's interesting. I guess I've never saved the game with... I've never saved the game with a sword. Okay, so we've got a bug here. Let's go ahead and fix this. In player... Update... Projectile... Oh no, it's in game UI actually. That's probably... see, line 42. Okay, weapon.ammo in magazine. So if weapon does not equal null and weapon.ammo in magazine does not equal null, It's possible this will also fail. I guess we could say and weapon is ranged weapon. It's probably what we want to do instead. Otherwise, we don't really care about the amount of yeah, okay, that works. All right, fix that. What does this do? Update equipped weapon. Why didn't that trigger? Oh, because we don't call it here. So I guess we should say if weapon does not equal null, update equipped weapon. I think what we pass the weapon in. Yeah. We say weapon. Cool. So that should also show the equipped weapon. Yeah, when we load in. That's great. All right, let's make vegetation sizes random. So in the chunk here, we have just a basic sprite for vegetation. It has no, it's called top-down tree. It has no specific config. It's just literally a sprite that I've made a certain size. And right now I have hard-coded the scale to, 2.7-ish. So as I'm creating, let's see, top-down tree, I think these are the only two places when I create the foliage and I load the foliage. I want to randomize the size just a little bit bigger and smaller to give some variation. Now my question is, do we want to, we probably want it to save, would be my guess. So right now when we save foliage, which we're doing, like handle saving chunk. So we are just saving the position of a vector, or a tree, but we might also want to save the size. So in that case, rather than pushing an array of vector 2s, we might want to push an array of arrays where I guess the first element is the position and the second element is the size, which should work. So we just need to change the saving and the loading a little bit. So if we store tree vector and then also foliage dot get key dot size, I believe should do it. And then from there, when we're loading this in, load foliage, rather than the only elements being hey Shadow, it's going well. How are you? Okay, so rather than the first position, so tree vector being a vector 2, this is going to be like tree metadata, and it's going to have 2 elements. I guess actually it's probably smarter to just store this as an like a dictionary. So let's say like vector 2 is tree vector, and then size, let's say like I guess tree size is the size of the foliage, although now I'm realizing, are we storing, whoops, we are storing the actual No, I think foliage is just an array of vector 2. Yeah, we're just storing the tree positions, so let's update that to be storing the tree. So we have to update this a bit. Okay, so when we create the foliage, now let's say handle saving chunk. This isn't a vector, this is now the tree itself. So if tree does not equal null, we say tree dot position. I guess instead of vector 2, we should just say tree position and tree size. That should work. And then we come into the loading. Wi-Fi's crappy today, so you're not sure how long you can stay. No worries, if you gotta hop off early, that's all good. You're catching me at the beginning of the stream, so I'll be on for a little while. Okay, so we're creating the foliage, so let's load the foliage in. So it's not tree vector. We want to say assert tree metadata does not equal null. And let's not call this foliage vector array. Let's just call this foliage metadata. Let's say foliage metadata. It's not equal null. It's foliage metadata. So we want to assert that tree metadata must not be null. Then we also want to assert that tree metadata.get tree position is not equal null. Tree metadata.tree position should not be null. So this is going to break backwards compatibility, which isn't a huge deal. But at the same time, we'll have to delete all our saves again, which is totally fine. Okay, so tree position is tree metadata.get tree position. And we store the tree itself, but we also need to say tree.size equals tree metadata.get tree size. Okay, so that should work just fine. And I think we've updated everything here that needs to be updated. Great. So then when we're creating the foliage, we want to vary the size of that foliage. So let's say, so max number of foliage, max size of foliage. We'll say it's 3. And then the min size of foliage is like 2.2. So we're gonna say tree.size equals rand float in range min size of foliage and max size of foliage. Okay, so that should have some variation in our trees. We start a new game. All right. Invalid set index size on base sprite 2D with value of type float. Maybe it's not size, it might be scale. Yeah, so it's not actually a number, it's a vector 2, but the size itself is it should be equal both x and y, so it doesn't look, so it's still a square. We will, however, have to modify the will we actually? I actually don't think we will. So never mind. So we'll say tree size and then tree dot scale equals tree size. Sorry. Tree dot scale equals vector. Oh, maybe size was right actually, but whatever. We'll just give this a try and see if it works. So it'll be the same for left and right. And then as we're saying, handle saving chunk and foliage tree size is going to be get tree dot scale, and then it should be a vector 2. And then as we're loading in the foliage, we just want to make sure we're setting it correctly to scale. Great, let's give this a try. Oops. One sec. Okay, try this again. Whoops. Again, all our old saves are going to be broken, so let me just go ahead and delete those real quick. Can do that quickly here. Move to trash. Start over. Need to start a new game. Okay, invalid set index size with value of type float. I think we thought we fixed this. Maybe I missed it. Create foliage. I thought I fixed this. I did, and then it, okay, and then it reset, which is annoying. Okay, so this should be what I'm looking for. Great. So now we see some varied size in the foliage. It's not particularly varied, so I think I might make the min a bit smaller, but at least add some variety here, which is what I was going for. So let's just make this like 1.8 to 3. See how that looks. Actually, we're gonna get, we need to start a new game for this. Cool, so that looks decent. Some varied size trees, and in all honesty, I think 1.8 is too small, so I am gonna do 2.2. Actually, just 2 to 3.2. So there, okay, that should be good. Doesn't really matter. So we've got that done. So let's leave chest chance the way it is, but what we do want to do, because we want to be able to test and easily find the chests, we do need to initialize the inventory. We need to randomize it. Thanks, Shadow. So we need to randomize our inventory. We only have one usable item at the moment, and that's rifle ammo. So we're just gonna randomize it with some rifle ammo, which is okay for now. And we'll just put it in a few different slots. So just as a reminder to myself, I create that by doing this. So we'll say max random items equals 4 and min random items equals 1. Then in randomized inventory, we'll say for I in rand I range min random items to max random items. And then we will create the rifle ammo. And then we'll also randomize the amount of rifle ammo that it can have. So at some point we might want to create a more either reusable class or set of functions that can return variable sizes of different types of items, not just like a specific item. But in this case, we want to say ammo amount equals rand I in range, let's say 5 to 40, and then that's how much ammo will exist. And then we'll say self.inventory dot add item to next empty slot with stackable item. And that should get us a random inventory. It's gonna be in order, basically. It's not gonna be random in the inventory, but I think that's fine for now. Let's just make sure we're calling this. We are when we're initializing. Okay, and we should already be saving the chest inventory, so that should be good. Let's just make sure we're initializing this with both true and false. We are. Okay. So that's good. Let's go to zombie real quick so we need less debug inventory now, although I think actually maybe we're only using, okay, we're only using, have I tried GPT-01 yet? I don't think so. Actually, if I pull up ChatGPT here, I don't know what. I used to have GPT, like paid GPT, but I don't anymore. I don't know what. What model this is. I assume it's just like. Yeah, I assume it's just the like GPT 3.5, or maybe it's GPT 4 now for the free version. But no, haven't really tried 01. What do you think of it? Okay, let's also make the, I don't know why I did camel case for these. Let's also make the amount of ammo that a zombie can drop variable as well. So we'll say, we can actually just do that here. Say rand I and range from like 1 to 10. Maybe 1 to 8. So this will make the game a little bit harder because ammo scarcity will be greater. Cool. You've been using it for the last couple of years. It's enabled you to do much bigger projects with Unreal Engine. It's a new level, in your opinion. Yeah, I was gonna say, when you said years, and then you say, I mean weeks, not years. When you said years, I was like, well, ChatGPT's been out for a couple of years, but 01's only been out, for not that long. That's cool. I've tried using ChatGPT for Godot a little bit to answer some questions, and I've found that it's, Godot probably doesn't have like a big enough community yet and a big enough data source for training for ChatGPT to give it great answers. I find that it doesn't give very good answers, especially for Godot 4. Like Godot 3 and 3.5, it sometimes gives good answers, but 4's been out for a couple of years and it's just not super helpful. Okay, so there should be some random. Okay, that's not working. Oh, because I continued. So we need to start a new game because that'll randomize the chests. So let's go take a look. Cool. All right, so this actually brings me to an issue here with the inventory. There needs to be text wrapping because as you can see, this goes off the screen and then you have to scroll to see, which certainly isn't ideal. Alternatively, we could go back to a vertical or a two. Actually, we could, let's just add text wrapping at the very least. And have a fixed size for each of these boxes. Because I think even if I resize, whoops, can't remember what happens if I, come on. Really? What's happening here? Trying to resize this screen. Did I turn off resizing? I may have turned off resizing, that's interesting. Yeah, I think it did. Okay. So let's just go ahead and adjust some of that. We haven't done this in a while, but let's go into our inventory. I think it's inventory UI. Yes, and it's specifically inventory items, which we load into items margin container. So is there a way to say okay, what if I turn stretch to 0? I'm just curious what this does. That seemed to do nothing. So let's reset that. So maybe it's on the inventory item button itself that we want to set like I didn't think you could set a max size. Okay, if I don't fill vertically and horizontally, what happens? So it looks like that, which is obviously rather ugly. So let's undo that. So, okay, the parent is the items margin container. Is there a way to... What is this? Layout mode? Contain? This is where I get confused about how control nodes work in. I mean, this doesn't look terrible, honestly. Maybe this is fine for now. And then we won't run into this is probably okay. This actually doesn't look bad. Just have 2 columns instead of 4. Yeah, and then you can add all this up. Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. Let's just verify that this chest then has nothing in it. Okay, the save seems to work properly. Which you like to see. Cool. Okay, let's go ahead and commit these changes. Added variation in foliage sizes and randomize chest inventory. Great. So let's lower the chest spawn rate, which we can do in chunk. So the chance of finding a chest in a chunk goes down to 10% rather than 90%. And that save file had a zombie spawn right on us, so we do need to fix that. Just another one. Whoops. Okay. Let's just grab some ammo here. Oh, that's another thing I want to do, actually. Is fix the... right now I have to press a different button if I'm opening the dual inventory menu, so I want to adjust that to be 1 button. So let me do that real quick. So I think that's in pause manager. So we have the inventory button. Otherwise we have the debug dual inventory. So here we essentially want to say if inventory is pressed and the game's running and the pause menu isn't open, we want to do 2 things. So if I guess in this case it's if game manager dot hovered inventory does not equal null, so we basically want this to take precedence. Actually, this can then be just in its own separate statement. This isn't beautiful code, but it's functional. So now we can get rid of this. And we should be able to open up the dual inventory menu with... I should remember to save. Cool, so that works. And then we can open up our normal inventory. Beautiful. All right, you love to see it. Let's get ourselves some more ammo. And save. Great. If we load up, everything should be exactly where it was. Great. Okay, we got that working. Now let's fix the game over state. So basically what happens when player health reaches 0. And in this case, it's really just one hit from a zombie. So say, wow, what would this be called? Okay, on enemy collision body entered. So if it's a zombie and the zombie's alive, then we emit is game over. And I think that's is game over. Yeah, for some reason we connect this to the player, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we could just call this from the player. We could add a UI, like a screen that has you load the game again, but I don't know that that's totally necessary. But I'm not sure why it's crashing. There's stuff's getting like loaded and freed, and I'm realizing I don't know what reloads the currently active scene. Maybe it should send you back to the main menu. Maybe I'll just do that instead, and that way we can free everything and start the game again. So let's see, in pause menu we have, okay, get tree.quit actually quits the game, so we could do that too, honestly. But oh, we have no way actually to get back to the main menu. Okay, that's fine. We will, let's see, how do I do this again? All right, get tree, change scene to file. I don't know if that frees everything else. Changes running scene to the one at the given param path. Okay, so let's try something. If we do get tree, and this might be crazy, .root.q, maybe even just free. Then can we say get tree.change scene to file, and then say main, main, hold on. Rather than load menu, should be main menu.main menu. All right, this might be insane, but we're gonna give it a try. So let's find ourselves a zombie. There's gotta be one here somewhere. There's one. Okay, so that just crashes everything. Nice. Maybe actually, can we say, self.process mode so that everything stops? And then we can free everything and then change the scene. That might work. Some zombies came from this direction, so we'll just go and search here. Actually, let's start a new game. Might be able to get a little more luck here with zombie placement. And I guess actually what we could do is save the game here. Okay, so that also crashes. Cannot erase non-existent section. Why is inventory save? Why is this getting triggered so much? Save inventory. Maybe there's something. How often does this get called? That doesn't. So we handle a save at the beginning. Maybe we don't want to. We don't want to save the game at the beginning. Not that that affects this, but I'm wondering if there's... Okay, cannot call method get tree on a previously freed... Okay, cool. So I'm glad I saw that. So let's go into game manager. Cannot call free on a previous. Okay, let's try queue free instead. Okay, so the game paused and now we're getting okay, maybe pausing. Okay, that probably isn't what we want to do actually. 'Cause that'll stop us from being able to queue free anything, would be my guess. Huh. I feel like there are race conditions happening here because it's kind of doing, yeah, it's doing different stuff every time. So when this happens, we essentially need to... I guess what happens if we... just change the scene? Valid set index enabled with value of type bool. Okay, so we... need a way to clean everything up. I'm honestly not sure the best way to do that. I guess in this context too, what would that even mean? So like, actually, how to clean game up. How to restart scene. Are they getting added as children of a singleton? Is that what's happening? It's like chunk manager here. Oh yeah, the chunks are certainly. So maybe we need a way to reset chunks. Let's give this a try. Okay, so reset chunks will basically, so for chunk in chunk, or chunk in chunks, actually key in chunks, chunk is chunks.get key. We should assert that chunk is chunk. Chunk should be of type chunk. And then we want to say like chunk.reset chunk. So let's go into chunk. Oh, and then at the end here, we can chunks delete, no, erase key, and before that we want to say chunk.q free, then erase it. And then in, let's see, are we saving anything in save manager? No. Are we saving anything in game manager? All this should theoretically get handled when we reload back in. What are we doing in chunk testing? Nothing crazy. Okay, so then in chunk, we want a function called reset chunk. And that needs to free all the zombies, free the foliage, although that should all be cleared. So maybe we don't actually need to do that. It's probably handled in chunk manager. So if we just queue free it, that should be okay. Okay, so in game manager, game over. Oops, game over. I guess that's fine. We might have to do some stuff with the UI, but theoretically should be able to say chunk manager dot reset chunks. Okay. This might not be so far off here. And actually, hold on. Let's just make sure in the player I am emitting. Okay, is game over dot emit. Close. Okay, attempt to call get zombies in base previously freed. So, okay, so chunk testing. Get zombies. So chunk manager dot init. Why isn't this? Hold on. So chunk testing. So in chunk manager, init should be recreating the chunks. But it didn't have chunk to get zombies. Why? Base previously freed on a null instance. It was previously freed, but it should have been recreated with init. I'm not sure. Give me like 5 minutes. I need to go do something real quick. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Should be good, audio-wise. Thanks for everyone sticking around. Sorry about that. Okay, let's turn that off. Cool. Where were we? All right, we were trying to understand why base previously freed. I mean, it was previously freed, but then it should be created again, no? Maybe I'm not understanding how this works. We're not. No, we should be calling ready again, right? Oh, maybe chunk testing isn't getting freed. That could be it, actually. So I feel like this isn't the way to do it overall. Okay, chunk manager, we're resetting the chunks. But chunk testing. Okay, so in main menu, we change the scene to file chunk testing. But then how do we, Godot, how to free, root scene. Okay, deleting a scene from the scene tree. How do you do that? Okay, as a 4.2.1 stable, you can right-click the node you'd like to assign as the root, then click on makes. That's not what I want. Root scene programmatically. Okay, maybe I need to go back to how to previous root scene programmatically. How do I remove a node and all its descendants from the scene tree? Seems unhelpful. So maybe it's not the, I guess it's not the root that we want to delete. It's some other, it's tree.root. Wait, what is this? Scene file path. It's a string. Okay, root.get. So documentation on root. Okay, scene tree.root. Scene tree.root. Scene tree's root window. Okay. Godot scene tree root. Maybe I need to understand the scene tree better. Main viewport. Anything that's child viewport. Scene tree. Active root. Scene tree. When nodes enter the scene tree, they become active. They get access to everything they need to process, get input, display 2D and 3D visuals, receive notifications, etc., etc. So maybe actually in chunk testing, excuse me. So maybe we can get the chunk testing node. Say get node chunk testing. Okay, let's see if this prints out anything useful. Okay, so it does get that node. So maybe then we can say main node, assert main node does not equal null. Main node shouldn't be null if we want to reset the scene properly. And if that's the case, we can then say main node dot queue free, and then we change to the main menu. So let's try this. Okay, we got a crash. Why'd we get a crash? What happens if we do this after we change the scene? Maybe. No. Okay. Wish there was any kind of error here. Although maybe these are all the errors. Couldn't find. Although this feels, I don't understand if that's something that happened in the past or is happening now. No, it's happening now. Okay, separately though, is that happening? No, this seems to happen every time I run the game. Hold on. Couldn't find the given section chest and key chest ID and no default was given. That, why is this an error though? Oh, an error is also raised. Oh, I see. Okay, so these are all just being suppressed because they're not. Okay, we can ignore these. Ignore those. Okay, what is happening here? What do I need to do? Whoa, I've never seen this before. Okay, so we do, there is the chunk testing node. But why does, I guess... What happens if I... Okay, if I don't free this and change the... Oh, that's... Oh... Okay, so then let's go back here and in remote. Okay, so now it's main menu. If I hit continue, we run into an issue. Hey, Boostry. How's it going? Hey, Relentless. You guys just like see someone else chat and then be like, "Oh, I want to say hi too," or did you guys literally just show up? All right. Okay, so all those debugger errors are fine. What is happening? Because now I don't feel like this should actually crash in the way that we were seeing before. So we're reloading the game. You just showed up? Well, welcome. Thanks for joining. We're, yeah, we have, so one of the bigger, or not one of the bigger things, but one thing I've neglected to address since working on this game, and I can give a demo because if you guys are new to the stream, you don't know what I've been doing. One thing I've neglected is a game over state. So when the player dies, what do I do? For the last like month, it's just been crashing the game, and I'm trying to find a way to handle it more gracefully. Basically, either kick you to the main menu, to a game over screen, load your previous save, whatever it is, and I'm just running into some issues doing that. I've never done it before, so just figuring that out. But anyway, the game is a top-down 2D shooter, I guess you could say, where right now the main kind of premise is that it's nighttime. When your flashlight's off, you can't see enemies. When your flashlight's on, you can see enemies. They follow you within a certain distance. There's this, you see this yellow square here. I've called it Sixth Sense. It's basically a way, because there's no sound in the game, to know, whoops, well, I lost. There's no way to know when a zombie's close to you when your flashlight's off. So it's basically just a helper as a replacement for like sound in the future. A little bit of background on me. I'm a software engineer. I've been working in the industry professionally for the last 8 years, doing full stack development mostly. And over the last month, I've been streaming my game development journey. So learning more about Godot, game development in general, building out some different systems and features that I might want to add to a game in the future. But right now, this is more of a playground to allow me to like just test stuff and learn stuff, and not have there be any pressure on making it like a full-fledged released game. I've done a lot of stuff over the last month around, UI, inventories, a save system, weapons, a chunking system. So if I zoom out, it's kind of an open world-ish game right now, although there's not much to do. Recently added like chests and some foliage here to just give some variety. Yeah, I'm trying to fix the game over stuff right now, and running into just a misunderstanding of how the Godot scene tree works, and so I'm just figuring that out right now. Is it hard to learn Godot script, GD script? You've learned Python and Lua. Well, Roblox has a different Lua language. I didn't realize that. You're trying to switch to 2D. 3D is annoying. I haven't touched 3D at all, and I know Godot's getting better about 3D, but I think primarily they've been most indie games that have come out in Godot have been 2D. Is it hard to learn? No. I don't think it's too bad. It's pretty similar to Python and probably Lua. But in terms of the way it looks, it's more similar to Python. And I think if you have an understanding of game engines, they're all pretty similar. Like, they have similar concepts. So learning GD script isn't that bad. It's just like Python with strong typing if you want it, but you don't need to use it. Okay. So we can change the scene when the game's over, but if we try to boot back in, I'm not able to trace. I don't have a good way to trace what's going on here. So we die. Maybe if we start a new game doesn't work either. We're just getting a crash. I don't know why. There might be useful information in here, but at the same time, it's probably just gibberish, mostly. Okay, so let's look at main menu. So as we're changing back to the chunk testing scene, change scene to file. Yeah, daily jobs full stack. I mostly use JavaScript, TypeScript, Node, AWS on the infrastructure side. Worked at a wide range of companies from 3-person startups to 25,000 person companies. Kind of in a wide range of like tech company, like what the company is doing. So like health and fitness and security and physical security and consumer. It's kind of been all over the place. Okay, so maybe rather than changing scene to file, let's go to the scene tree docs again and see what functions are available for us. So specifically, we want to look at the like change scene to file. So maybe we don't want to change. Okay, wait, delete the existing scene. Okay, all right, we have a few options here. We can delete the existing scene. We can hide the existing scene, which we don't really want to do. I think we just want to free everything. Or you can remove the existing scene from the tree. Let me make this bigger for you guys as well. You're doing a Udemy course on full stack. You're not sure you can see the end of the tunnel. There's a lot. I mean, it's like at the end of the day, it's you don't need to understand every language. You don't need to understand every tech stack. If you understand kind of the core concepts of like, you know, front-end development and web servers, and then back-end development and back-end servers, and then infrastructure, like those are kind of the three bigger pieces to understand. And I would probably recommend starting with just one of them, whichever one you find most interesting. I started out my career doing back-end, and then in my first, like a second job, took on, like I wanted to learn front-end development, so I started doing some like React dev and built out an admin tool for the company I was working for. And then from there was able to just like, I was basically able to learn on the job to, which was really nice because it meant that I could, you know, start applying those skills to the next role that I was at and just keep learning and learning. A lot of the learning I've done has been on the job, but I would say starting out in software engineering is pretty tough because you don't know what you don't know. And so finding kind of your path is harder. But I would say probably rather than doing, I mean, again, do it whichever way you want, but I've found that picking a specific like full stack field, so like front end, back end, or infrastructure, is probably the best way to start rather than trying to learn everything all at once. Okay, so did my degree help me obtain my first job? Yes and no. Yes, in that if I hadn't gotten my degree, I wouldn't know how to like just code. But everything I learned in school, for the most part, aside from the web development class that I took, it didn't help me get my first job because the skills weren't really applicable to real world work. It's more like everything's kind of in theory, but there's, at least in my experience, and this was 10 years ago when I was in school, a lot of the stuff we were doing was like in theory, not in practice. And it's the in practice stuff that companies really want to see, especially as you're going through the interviewing process. If you're only able to do algorithms or only able to just like code but not apply it to APIs and building out products and features, then it's going to be hard to get a job. So I would definitely recommend, like I was saying, pick front end, back end, probably one of those two. Pick a language. Python's relatively on the back end, Python or Node, so JavaScript, TypeScript. On the front end, I'd recommend learning React if you're gonna go that route. And then from there, like build out anything really. I mean, like build out a API server that lets you, hit several endpoints doing different things. Or if you're building a front end, like build a tic-tac-toe with drag and drop or chess or something. Like build something that's actually functional and usable, because those are the skills. Like you'll just learn stuff on the way, and those are the skills that you can actually apply to real world work, and like interviewing for your first job. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I learned in school was like, again, in theory, not in practice. And some of the stuff I've like applied a little bit in just being able to say like, oh, I remember taking this operating systems class and I kind of understand how like the registers work at the assembly level or whatever, but none of that for me personally has been applicable. There's a lot of the things that I learned in school were low-level systems type stuff. And unless you're getting into low-level systems, which very few people in this day and age are, it's like more useful to know. Yeah, it's more useful to know, JavaScript, TypeScript, Node, or Python, or Go. Yeah, Python, Go, JavaScript, TypeScript. If you know one of those, then you're, already at an advantage. Okay, so I mean, this is the route that I'm trying to go here, where I'm deleting the existing scene. But loading... It's weird because loading the... Okay, it deletes... Let's delete the main scene. Low-level programming makes your brain work better in programming in general. I generally agree. I think knowing some low-level concepts is helpful. Hey, DDD. Knowing some low-level concepts is helpful, and having taken a class or two on it, I think can be useful. But I don't think it's like, I don't use it day to day. It's like once in a while. Oh, I remember this thing, and it's helpful in some way or another. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Change scene to file. And in Game Manager, when it's game over, I also change scene to file. Learning Java makes it easier to learn JS or Python than learning Python first. Yeah, I mean, I think languages that require, and Java doesn't require memory management, but I would say learning a language like Java for the object-oriented programming aspect of it is useful to know just in general, because there are things from that you can apply to any language and any framework and any place you're working. Yeah, I would say learning Python first is probably not the best approach. Learning something that has strong typing is good. So like TypeScript, Go, Java. But in terms of real world like jobs, most of the things I'm seeing nowadays are either JavaScript, TypeScript, Go, or Node, React, sometimes Ruby on Rails, though I wouldn't recommend learning that. It's not that popular anymore. I mean, it's still used, but like, and here's the other thing too. A lot of companies won't hire based on what languages you know. They want to understand, can you build products and features? And oftentimes, if there's a language that they're using that you don't know, you can learn it on the job. It doesn't take that long to get kind of up to speed with another language, especially if you have code as an example. I mean, JavaScript and TypeScript are essentially one and the same. You can write TypeScript like you write JavaScript, just without strong typing. Here, let me pull up some code here. Oops. So let's go to, I guess, the back end here. So this is a project I've worked on for the last several years. Oops, what was that? That is, just changed the song, didn't mean to do that. That is for some fantasy football stuff that I do. I play fantasy football with my friends, and I built myself a little front end and back end that helps me with the auction drafts that we do. But if we go into any kind of JavaScript, TypeScript code here, let me make this a little bigger. JavaScript and TypeScript are pretty much exactly the same. You just can add optional typing if you want. So you could say like, download name or whatever, and then say it's a string. And if you try to put it as a number, it's going to throw an like code error, like a compile time error, even though it's not compiled technically. That basically says you can't assign a number to a string. But you can also just say, like, you can infer it, which is what JavaScript does as well. The only difference is that it's going to think this is a number. If you say download name equals string, it's also going to yell because you already assigned it as a number, so you can't assign it as a string. But if you were in JavaScript here, if I just go like node, if you say like let a equal 4, then you can say a equals hello, and a just turns from an integer to a string. So that's really the difference there. Is TypeScript has, I would argue, better guardrails for not doing stupid stuff. And it means also that you can do good typing around objects, which is something that I want Godot to support as well with their dictionaries. But you can create interfaces and types. So say like, say player, and this player can have, let's say they have a name, which is a string. They have an ID, which is also a string, and health, and say it's a number. And so from here, you can say like player of type player equals an object, but I have to specify because name, ID, and health are all required. I have to specify them. So it's just nice to have these guardrails in place to not mess things up. And then if I tried to do, and then you can make things optional too, either by saying, using a question mark to make it optional so you don't have to specify it. It would just be undefined if you tried to access it. Or another approach is you can say like string or null. So that means name can be a string, or you can assign it to null, but you still have to define it. So there's a lot of like flavor that TypeScript adds on top of JavaScript. But in JavaScript, you can just say like player equals an object here, and then say like player dot foo equals string, although TypeScript's gonna yell because this doesn't exist on an empty object. So yeah, there's just more protections on TypeScript. But if you learn TypeScript, you're learning JavaScript. If you learn JavaScript, you just need to add typing, and then you basically get TypeScript. It's pretty transferable either way. Okay, that was a lot of talking, which is fine. But let me catch my breath for a sec. And figure out why this is failing. I don't get it. I do not get it. I also don't understand why my mouse is freaking out down here. If I try loading a different game, nope, still gonna... Yo. Whoops. Oh. Godot unexpectedly quit. You see most devs use TypeScript. Most developers who use a flavor of JavaScript use TypeScript. I'd say there are very few places that use vanilla JavaScript unless it's like code that's really, really old. Typically, if you're starting out with a JavaScript project, you're going to use TypeScript nowadays. I don't know what the usage of like JavaScript and TypeScript is versus other languages, but I know that yeah, so JavaScript is nice because you don't have to have the transpile step to get from, I guess, taking a step back, the way TypeScript gets converted to something runnable on your computer or web browser is by what's called transpiling. So it takes the it's not compiling because you're not creating like a binary that you can run. You're taking TypeScript code and converting it to JavaScript code behind the scenes and then running the JavaScript code. So at the end of the day, anytime you're using TypeScript, you are just running JavaScript code. Yeah, I mean, JavaScript can be really nice for prototyping because you can get stuff out really quickly. But I found that I've built out a couple GitHub repos for myself that allows me to like spin up a quick React TypeScript app as well as a TypeScript Node app, like backend app as well. So it's like, there usually aren't too many times where I'm just like throwing JS code into the browser. Is there really? TypeScript's forced in Angular? That's kind of surprising. I didn't realize that. Also, as a side note, I would recommend learning React over Angular, just if you're getting into front-end development. I know almost no one in the industry who uses Angular, except for like legacy old apps. Most things are done in React nowadays. What time is it? Okay. I'm still good. I'm getting I have a doctor's appointment in a little over an hour. Just want to make sure I didn't miss it. Why am I looking at generate unique ID? Okay, what if we don't reset chunks? Like, what if we don't... Chunk. What about backend node? What do you mean? Like, if you want to learn backend, what should you learn? Or are you saying, does TypeScript, like, does Node require TypeScript? Or I've used Go in one, out of my 8+ years of software engineering, 7 of those have been with Node. Well, actually, I was a front-end engineer for 3 years, so I can't really count that. They were using Python and Go. Yeah, TypeScript's definitely preferable if you have a lot of people working on it. Most of the backend work that I've done has been in Node. So like 4 or 5 of the 8 years that I've done backend stuff has been Node and TypeScript. Actually, at the beginning, it was JavaScript. That was like right around when TypeScript was starting to become more popular, but we just used JavaScript because neither of us who are working on the backend side of things knew TypeScript, so we didn't feel like dealing with learning it. Okay, what am I storing here? No, we really want the chunks to be freed. So, okay, let me see if I can... So in chunk testing, we're initializing chunk manager. So let's print and see if we even get here as we're reloading in. No, it doesn't even look like we get there. Or wait. Do we? Hold on. No, we do. Actually. How far do we get? Let's see. Okay, we do. Okay, initializing chunk manager. Where else is it? I think it would be before all this stuff, no? Okay, most recent save. Okay, initializing chunk manager. Chunk getting ready is 1382. Is that the same? Yeah, 1382. So we get to the point where we're like setting inventory items. Oh wait, why does this happen again? Chunk getting ready and playthrough. Hold up. Oh, that happens a bunch. Okay, never mind. Okay, so we're clearly running into some other issues. So the chunk manager does seem to be loading properly, maybe. It's at least initializing. And it should be... Hold on. There's got to be a... Get chunks to load. Okay, so actually... we should theoretically see this exact print line somewhere else up top when we're setting item 4. Okay, so it seems to be crashing after this point. So where are we setting... Where am I printing this out? Okay, stackable inventory item. So let's stop printing that out, actually. Let's try this again and just see what the prints look like. Attempt to call function. Okay, so we've got like weird race conditions everywhere. Attempt to call function get zombies in base previously freed on a null instance. Get zombies. Specifically line 21 of chunk testing. Why is this only happening sometimes though? So for key in chunks, get chunks, just returns chunks. This is half of software development right here. It's just debugging stuff that you don't understand. And usually it's, might be different for this case, but usually it's a relatively small misunderstanding of something. And once you fix that, it just kind of works. This might be more involved. Okay, so let's actually say assert that chunks get key is not equal null and chunks dot get key is chunk. If we're loading chunk info, we the chunk should be valid. So actually say assert that zombies dot get zombie. So this code I wrote a long time ago. So which is why I'm kind of updating it now. Zombie must, oh wait, zombies group. Zombies group. We might need to free that too, actually. Do we? I don't know. Zombie must be not null. And I'm pretty sure doing is blank also checks that it's not null, so I think I can delete that line. Okay, let's try this again. Because again, we're sometimes getting a weird crash or race condition. So we're printing out the save. Let's go into save manager. We're doing some printing. Okay, save game. So get save path. Why is this happening at the beginning? Okay, so we're loading in Let's not print that out actually. Okay, loaded chunk data for chunk position 0. Why are we saving? Hold on. We're initializing chunk manager. Chunk getting ready. Loaded chunk data for this chunk. Saving zombie with ID to chunk. Let's just look at this real quick. Saving zombie with ID. Handle saving chunk. Why are we calling this handle unloading? Handle saving chunk. Why are we... I don't think we want to save this at the beginning. So let's actually remove that. We really only want to save stuff, I think, when the player hits save. Hopefully that doesn't break anything else, but... Okay, handle saving chunk. So when we're unloading it, we can save it as well. That's fine. Actually, do we even want to? No, we do. Oh, I kind of understand why I was saving it at the beginning, because then you exit it. No, but then there wouldn't even be a save slot. Oh no, that would mess stuff up. Hold on. Okay. Let's actually leave it the way it was. So we will save. Oh, that might mean though that we need, when we're doing, what was it, chunk testing? Were we saving everything here? Yeah, okay. Let's actually leave that. What do I think about WordPress? You haven't got into it, but you hear about it all the time. I haven't touched it too much, but I mean, I know WordPress has a lot of, you know, it's been around for a really long time, has a lot of support and like plugins that you can use. And I kind of bucket it with like Squarespace and some of the other website builders. I think it has a time and place, but if you want to do anything that's like super customized, it's probably not gonna be like the first choice. I've never been at a company that uses WordPress. I don't think there's a lot of money in WordPress dev. I could totally be wrong about that. But I don't think it's like a frequently, at least in the modern age of code bases and companies, it's not like a frequently used technology. Okay, what was I doing? I stopped printing out the save path. So let's see. Okay, so we get through loading chunk data for 3 of the chunks. And then we crash. Where is that chunk data getting loaded in? So when the chunk is added as a child to chunk, what is chunks group? Hold on a second. Chunks, okay. Chunks group. So we're adding it as a child. So when that happens, the ready function is called. Whoops. So chunk getting ready in playthrough. Chunk getting ready in playthrough. Let's actually say chunk plus self dot, what is it, chunk, what am I calling it, chunk position? Chunk position. See if that prints, okay, we gotta do, right, string of chunk position. Okay, so chunk getting ready, chunk getting ready, chunk getting ready. And then it dies. Saving zombie with ID to chunk. I wonder if there's something weird about the zombie save. NPC save. Should I be asserting here? Not that that makes any difference. Okay, save NPC gets called in chunk. What's a chunk? So I'm calling a chunk. It's a term in game development that is associated with like a block of space in the game map. So like if you think about if you've played Minecraft, they have a chunking system that's like, I don't know what the grid is, but let's just, for example, say it's 16 blocks by 16 blocks by 16 blocks, so 16 cubed. And these chunks are all loaded depending on where the player is. So when you're changing like the render distance in the main menu, you're changing how many chunks you can see away from you. So I've built out a chunking system kind of similar to Minecraft, where as you move around the screen, you don't see, like, not everything is loaded. So it's like an infinite world here where you could theoretically move, you know, you can go as far as you want to the right, as far as you want to the left, same with up and down. So as you move, new chunks are loaded in, and you know, the ones that are far enough away are unloaded. Whoops, I ran into a zombie. Yeah, so it's just like a each chunk has its own set of information. So the zombies that are stored within that chunk get saved to a save file. Same with the positions of the trees and the chests. And then, you know, as I add more features, that'll all be associated with a specific chunk. And so you can have like the likelihood that something spawns in a chunk. It's also, oops, I ran into another zombie. It's just a way to have, wait, did it save me in a different spot? It's interesting. No, I don't think it did. It's a way to not load everything about the game. It's like an optimization, basically. Overall, it's an optimization for the game. Otherwise, you would just load infinitely. Is it an infinite static world? What do you mean by static? It's all like technically programmatically generated, so there's never going to be a repeated chunk with another one, unless, you know, it's like statistically extremely unlikely. So it's infinite, but it's programmatically generated. In other words, nothing is hand placed. It's all done with, you know, randomization. RNG, basically. Wait, I think it, like, hold on. Do you mean for player it's static per game? I don't follow. It's a different player per save file. So if you like load a new game, everything resets. But within a save file, the player is static. Okay, what are we doing? We're printing out something somewhere. Oh, right, we were looking at the NPC save stuff. So assert that zombie's a zombie. We're getting to a chunk. It's like something about this chunk. Loaded chunk, saving zombie. Oh wait, hold on. Left operand of is a previously freed instance. Okay, that's helpful. It's a helpful piece of information. Chunks.getKey is chunk. It's previous. Why is it previously freed? I'm instancing a new chunks. Chunk manager.getChunks. Is init not okay? We're instantiating. Is this, hold on, with data. Return self. That should be new. Chunk scene that instantiate should create a new. Does this not create a new? Packed scene? Is it creating the exact same? Okay, let's do something real quick. Let's print out in chunk testing. Let's go ahead and say for key in chunks, debug, print chunks dot get key. And there's you know, race conditions here, so it's gonna be like a different error every time, it seems. Okay, it's like actually there's freed objects in here, but it's got oh, I see what's happening. So in chunk manager, as some if not all of the freed object. When we reset the game, it should be, so we're not like erasing everything as we would expect to, as the player's moving around. So there's something weird happening there. Or are we, wait. You're welcome, Booster. Thanks for hopping on. Happy to help, and you know, if you ever have any other questions, feel free to hop on stream and let me know. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. It was fun. Okay, so clearly when we're doing reset chunks, this isn't... Okay, let's print out the key as well. I'm curious what the key is. Because it should just be an index, I think. Or no, it should be... Wait. I don't actually know what it should be. We're also not even getting a consistent error here, which is annoying. But that might be a Godot thing. Okay, so why is it? So these are all freed. Okay, as we're initializing chunk manager here, let's go ahead and print. Let's do this. Let's actually do this debug as well here. So we'll say, okay, initializing chunk manager, save chunk, let's print out, print debug chunks in chunk testing. Try this again. Okay, so initializing chunk manager. Wait. Chunk manager. Okay, initializing chunk manager. There's already freed objects in. Why are there already freed objects here? Because what's weird is I'm in game manager, when the game is over, I reset chunks in chunk manager. So this should go loop through every chunk in the previous run of the game. It should free it. Oh, because it hasn't been freed yet, because it's queuing it. Maybe that's why. So let's try dying and then waiting. Let's wait like 30 seconds. See, let the dust settle. See what happens here. Let's give it like 10 more. And then maybe if I hit continue now, it'll have freed all those. Although they should be erased from the chunk. That's what I'm not understanding, is they should be erased from the chunk object, the chunks object. Yeah, okay, same issue. So there's freed objects. Okay, never mind. They're already freed, so that theory didn't make sense. So this erase doesn't seem to be working. Removes the dictionary entry by key if it exists. What does this mean? Do not erase entries while iterating over the dictionary? Ooh. I think I ran into this. I think I ran into that previously. Oh my god, I'm doing it here as well. Oh no, wait, chunks to erase is an array. For key and chunks to erase. Is chunks to load a... Hold on, and just make sure I'm not... Okay, let's see if this fixes it. Hey, let's go. Wow, I didn't realize you couldn't do that. So, pro tip, if you are iterating over an object or a dictionary in Godot and you want to erase the dictionary, you have to use .keys. Awesome. Okay, that works exactly as I was expecting. So you have to do chunk.keys because that creates a separate array that you can then iterate through and delete the chunk values. I assume however for key and chunks works, if you're not doing .keys, it's it'll adjust the in place update will mess with the ordering of what you're doing. You don't actually hit every key there. Or the erase does something funky. Cool. Let's go ahead and commit this. Back user to main menu when player dies. Cool, let's go ahead and delete some of these print statements too. This is also in chunk manager. Cool. All right, well, we've been going for a little over 2 hours. And I think rather than starting on a new feature, I'm going to... I hit all the things that I wanted to do in the stream today, so I think I'm going to call it there. Come up with some new stuff for the stream tomorrow. I should be on tomorrow. Let me look at my calendar real quick. I should be on tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be on tomorrow. Thanks everyone for stopping by. It was a good stream. Some good commenting and chatting going on, and some good progress on the game. I appreciate everyone that stuck around through all of this and hung out and left messages. It was a good session. Good session. Got some good work done.